Good morning, everybody. It's morning where I am. Let's see. It's the 27th of June, 10:45 in the morning, and welcome to what I call the rig. This is a fifth wheel that I've been calling home for a while. It is a tremendous blessing, and as it turns out, it was provided for such a time as this. I've been quiet for a while on purpose. I've learned that the last part of my journey to healing really is tied to inner healing, and God is working with me and working on me, dealing with me in a few areas, honestly, that I've been asking Him to help get me free from for years. I didn't grow up a believer. I lived a very heathen lifestyle, was unchurched, got involved in all kinds of sin and debauchery in my youth. Came to Christ as a young adult. And the sanctification process is a lifelong process. God did deliver me of several things instantly, and I'll give more of that testimony at some point. But let me get you kind of up to speed here. My cancer battle began in 2013. And I was initially diagnosed with leukemia. It took him a while to come to that diagnosis. And ultimately, after seeing 3 different oncologists at UCLA, at least the last 2 at UCLA, they did a bone marrow biopsy and came back with it's leukemia. They were saying it was cancer before. The white blood count was already real high. I had all kinds of other symptoms. I was real sick. But now they had a diagnosis, CLL, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and came up with a treatment plan, which of course is chemo immediately. Well, I didn't want to do chemo immediately. So I began to do my own homework, and I postponed, and I did a half-hearted attempt at holistic, naturopathic, homeopathic, call it what you want, non-traditional. I learned a few things I should cut out of my diet, sugar. I made some dietary changes. I started taking B17. I got a hold of that stuff. Large doses orally, large doses of vitamin C orally. I began doing it half-heartedly. And I believe it slowed the growth of the cancer. But it still got to stage 4. The stage 4 part, my main oncologist leaned on me real heavy and said, do chemo or die. So I did chemo. 2 months worth, and the labs were responding. Then I got real sick, elevated fever, 103, wouldn't break, landed me in the hospital for 8 days. Took that whole time to break the fever. In the midst of it, my main oncologist, Dr. Thomas Joseph, says, I want to have a surgery done. This does not look right. They removed lymph nodes from 2 different sites and came back with, you have lymphoma in addition to leukemia, and so here's the options. Finish your 6 months, 4 months remaining of chemo for the leukemia, then do 6 months for the lymphoma, or do a very aggressive, and he wasn't kidding, combined 6 months to treat them both. And I chose the latter because I wanted it over with. Sure enough, after that 6-month period, I was in remission. They never said I was cured, but I was in remission. My first clue should have been when I said I want this port taken out of my chest. If you don't know what that is, it's what they surgically plant so they can plug in to do the infusion chemo, which is the kind I got. I had three sessions a week for that whole period of time. 3 to 6 hours of infusion per sessions, real caustic stuff. And I said, why wouldn't we take it out? And he said, because a lot of people find they need chemo again. He wasn't kidding. I've since learned over 90%. Why is that? You can look it up online. There's all kinds of sources, including Dr. Tony Jimenez. Shelley just posted this recently. If you didn't see it, go look at it. It's just a few minutes long, but it's why. Chemo kills adult cancer cells. Does not kill the minority population, 1% or less, that are cancer stem cells. In fact, it in many cases makes them stronger and more resistant to chemo, and has to do with why 90% of the people who do chemo get to come back for more chemo. When the cancer came back, they wanted to start chemo immediately and or do a bone marrow transplant. However, I was told you can't do the same chemo cocktail because some of these drugs you have reached your lifetime max on. That tells you how dangerous they are. This time around was different though. I had already resolved I'm never going to do chemo again. And it was also different because this time around, Shelly came into my life. I'd already been diagnosed and not doing anything to treat it, just postponing. Enter Shelly, and he used her mightily. She knew I was going to need this kind of treatment before I did because she hears, frankly, more clearly from God than anybody I've ever known, and I've been around prophetic people for years. And she knew how to do this because she's helped people before. She's helped them raise money. She's been used this way by God in multiple people's lives. So she knew what to do. Thank God she did. She got out ahead of this. And the Hope for Cancer decision, that was not something we came to casually. A lot of research, a lot of prayer. For me, the last part of knowing it's where I was supposed to go was I met with a man who had been to Hope for Cancer, the TJ facility, Tijuana facility. I ended up going to the Cancun facility for various reasons, but same place, same treatment. And I knew for certain it's where I was supposed to go. Now let me set the record straight here. God is my healer. Okay? He's the healer. He does it different ways. He does it miraculously. He does the long, slow approach. He uses people. He uses doctors, but he's my healer. In my case, Hope for Cancer was key in this. Truly remarkable in this whole battle. So I'm going to show you some facts and figures because people have been asking me, and I wanted to do one kind of concise. I'm trying not to go too long. It's my second take here. I want to do one concise video that kind of brings you up to speed on where I'm at. I'm going to show you a couple of sets of labs. This one was March 7, 2018. Okay, I'm going to hold it here for a minute so you can see it. And you'll notice white blood count 47.6. You'll also notice that's way above where it's supposed to be. The high limit is 10.8. That for this kind of cancer is stage 4 land. I was stage 4 before I went to Hope for Cancer. I was stage 4 before when it first started. There's a number of things they use in staging, but one of them for leukemia that is a main, in fact the main thing they tracked in my case was white blood count as far as the leukemia goes. Okay, that was not long ago, 3/7 of this year. Then a short time later, 2 weeks later, March 21 was day 1 at Hope for Cancer. I was there for 21 days. My last day there was April 10, flew back on April 11. That's easy to remember because it's Shelly's birthday. Then I did lab work on the way out, by the way, and we did a video about that. I don't have it because I can't print it. It's in a folder someplace. I'll do it again, but I showed it to you before. Upon leaving, the numbers were all cut in half in 21 days, which was highly encouraging. But I do have this one. This one, as you will see, is dated 5/23, just over a month ago. And you will see my white blood count has dropped all the way down to 10.2. See it? That, folks, is miraculous because that's in the healthy range. That means the leukemia is dying off rapidly. Maybe by this time, because it's a month later, even gone. The lymphoma numbers, which are further buried in the labs, were greatly reduced. Again, everything was cut in half 21 days after starting. So upon leaving, everything was cut in half in round numbers. Since then, I've stuck with the protocol. Probably better than almost anybody because I have a secret weapon. Her name is Shelly. I'm convinced that the people who go through that program and don't get healed, it's because they simply don't stick with it. They told us going in, 6 to 9 months into this is when most people get an all clear. It takes a while to get that toxic and that sick. Stands to reason it would take a while to get well. Some of it, I believe, is God needing us to make lifestyle changes and change habits. Some of it is going after the things deep down, spiritual, emotional, that caused us to get sick in the first place, which is why I'm here in this cocoon. The last part of my healing, I know, is about the inner healing piece. And God's dealing with me on some things. All of us have things we struggle with. I grew up unchurched, a heathen. Parents divorced when I was 10 years old, and I went into a period of rebellion that lasted about, a dozen years. And I did more sin and damage in my youth than people do in a lifetime. And I'm grateful that God forgives sin. So, for me, this has been a process. Salvation happens in a moment, but sanctification is a lifetime process. And I'm still going through it, and if you're a believer, so are you. So you understand. But in my case, it might not be your case, but in my case, my healing, the completion of my healing, I am convinced, is tied to my dealing with a few things that I've too long tolerated, that I've battled since my childhood. I've made progress, but I'm not where I need to be. And the prayers that I prayed that preceded all of this, I prayed a prayer several years back. Said, God, I want you to do whatever you got to do in me to get me to the place where I'm 100% dependent upon you. Then I got sick, and I was in the middle of a pity party one day, and I asked God, why me? You ever do that? And he reminded me of that prayer. This is the answer to your prayer, son. I got it. I've been praying for years. Take away, God, everything in me that offends you. He was listening to that one too. He's dealing with that. And you know what? He has me right now right where he wants me. In fact, this is my little cocoon. It's just me and God right now. Dealing with the stuff that he's dealing with his son on. And I will emerge from here different. So, the cancer part, I'll give you a preview of coming attractions. I know for certain I will be cancer-free. I also know for certain diet, supplements, lifestyle changes in the physical and the natural. In fact, even if you don't know God, don't have faith in God, there are way too many testimonies of the power of this stuff. It has everything to do with what you put in your body and everything to do with getting emotionally and even deeper spiritually healed. Everything to do with it. You can disbelieve it. You can mess with it. You can lie to yourself about it, but it's the truth. You want to get healthy and whole, deal with the real issues. That's where he has me right now, and I'm grateful for it. It's painful. Dealing with God's rod of correction is painful, but I asked for it. I wanted it. I'm going to see it through. One thing I am is I'm a fighter. He made me that way. I saw a post Shelley just did, and I replied to it, and I've long believed this. Fight like it depends on you and pray like it depends on God, because it does. So, folks, we'll keep you updated. I'm looking forward to my return to Hope for Cancer next month. That's the follow-up visit that you get where they do their assessment and then tweak the treatment. The 90-day intensive part is over at that point because you have used up all of the stuff, essentially. But I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to continue with these lifestyle changes. I'm not just going to get an all clear, but I'm going to cancer-proof myself, sickness-proof myself, and share with everybody. We're going to continue sharing with everybody what we learned, because this thing has taken on a life of its own. Shelley really is the architect of that Facebook page, and although it started out prayers and encouragement for David Glidden, she's the one that's done the bulk of the posts. She's amazing, frankly. I don't know how she does that, plus everything else she does. But she does, and it's impacting people's lives. We know because we're getting people reaching out daily, making comments. I'm changing this and asking for prayer and new cancer cases and people wanting to cancer-proof themselves. And it's become a ministry of its own, and I see how God has his hand in it, and I understand it's partly why the process has been lengthy and public for me, because he's using me to help other people. And this will be a platform using both of us to help other people, and I'm grateful for it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, folks. I'm going deep with God right now. I am so grateful for everything that you do and have done. There's an army of you that are praying for me, and I feel it. Thank you for the people who have given, contributed, prayed, done all the stuff you've done. Special thanks to my good friend Kevin Slumpberger, by the way, who has helped me tremendously getting this rig set up and hookups and utilities, and I love that man like a brother. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to keep you posted. Not sure when I'll do my next one. I'll do it when God tells me to. I love you all. Shelly and I love you all, and we will talk to you soon. God bless you.